We're swapping supermarkets today. We've done a few from Asda, we've done a few from Sainsbury's, but now we're going back to Tesco, the home of craft beer to some extent. You know, they probably are the most consistent supermarket. And today we're drinking this beer. It's Buxton Brewery, it's a Lupulus X, but whereas the great Citra, this is for using Mosaic hops. But what's it going to be like? Keep on watching to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. We've got lots of beer to drink from between now and the end of the year. Lots of rock too. But today we're going to Tesco's. Now to remember which supermarket we're at now. Tesco's. They've released a couple of new beers and one of them is this one. Now this is a Buxton Brewery. It's a Lupulus X series and it's Mosaic. So it's a single hop series Lupulus X using Mosaic. So basically they use the same sort of base, but the same sort of recipe for the beer for this IPA, but each time they add a different hop. Now the Citra one is a good beer, and it's been in there for a while, 6 months or more, and it's probably one of my favourites actually. It's a good Citra IPA, and it's definitely a good core beer for Tesco. Now, but when I had that, I bought half a dozen of some of the other ones with lots of experimental hops, different hops. We had lots of British hops like Jester and stuff like that. And they were all right. Some were good, some were okay, some not so bad, not so good. But they were using experimental. But Mosaic, I think on everyone, we have Mosaic in lots and lots of beers. I'm not a massive fan of it on its own, so I'm interested to see what this is going to be like. So what do we know about it? Well, it's 5.4%, and it's an IPA, as I say. The Lupulus X is an experimental single hop program. Every beer has the same recipe, only the hop changes. So let's get this beer out of the can and into a glass and see what it's going to be all about. I mean, Mosaic can bring the sort of tropical, sometimes you have a little bit of berry and a bit of bubblegum sort of aromas in there. Beer in a glass, it's got a slight haze to it, but it's not that hazy. I mean, if you look at it at the bottom, it's got a sort of very slight haze to it. Lots of fast moving carbonation. Let's hope that that's going to give a nice sort of soft mouthfeel. I did recently I'm going to put that down. We did recently have a Buxton Brewery beer, of which I can't completely remember, forgot what it's called now. The Mantle, which had Sabro and Simcoe. And that wasn't a Lupulus X, because obviously there's two different hops in there. But it had that sort of base that was similar to the Citra IPA, which is a real benchmark, I think, for IPAs from Buxton. So I wonder if this is going to be similar. So we've got one and a bit fingers of head, very white. It's quite compacted, although it looks a little bit soapy on the top. But as I say, it's a sort of orangey yellow colour, not as hazy as you would want from an IPA, but it's a fairly low ABV for an IPA. But let's see what it smells like. I'm not picking up huge amounts from the aroma. Certainly nothing fruity. There's a sort of, almost like a slight white pepper sort of aroma to it. Yeah, a bit of a subdued one, this one. Very difficult to pick out. All I'm getting is a little bit of spice, and I think it's a peppery spice. Very strange. Let's see what it tastes like. Cheers, everyone. It's not great. It's quite thin. It's got this sort of earthiness to it, spiciness. It's really quite difficult to pick out the fruit. It's, Mosaic can be sometimes really strong in its flavours, but all I'm getting is a very sort of earthy, sort of almost perfumey sort of flavour. yeah, I mean, I'm getting this sort of earthy, perfumey flavour. And then on the back end, it's sort of, you're getting a bit of grapefruit. I'm not getting big flavours up front. I'm trying to think, am I getting mango and passion fruit? Not really. Papaya, even citrus, lemons, limes. I get this sort of quite a sort of dull flavour up front and a slightly sort of floral-y, perfumey sort of flavour. And then, it's got this sort of earthy, sort of resinous sort of flavour as well. And then you get this sort of soft subtleness of grapefruit on the back end. It's a very, very strange sort of beer. I mean, it's... yeah, and it's got this real sort of... and then it goes into sort of slight pininess. It's a bit of a weird one. I'm expecting tropical flavours up front, and I'm not getting them. Maybe subtle. If I've got to pick out a fruit flavour, I suppose it's, you know, apart from the grapefruit, I think it's a bit of passion fruit. It's not a flavour that I really like. It's too earthy. It's too... and then this sort of resinous, bitterness, grapefruitiness comes in. You certainly know you're drinking a beer. You know, you're not drinking a fruit bomb in this sense. Where does it fit in terms of IPAs? I mean, it's certainly not an East Coast, but I wouldn't say it was as bitter and strong in terms of its finish as a West Coast. It's like a hybrid of the two. Soft in terms of its body, it's not the softest. It's not got creaminess to it at all. It's quite light, and it's quite, yeah, I mean, there's a real coating of the throat. There's a real sort of dryness. It's a real dry beer. And I think that Mosaic hop, I don't know, sometimes you can drink a beer with Mosaic in and you get big mango tropical flavours in there, and you get those berry and bubblegum. I don't think I'm really getting those berry bubblegum sort of flavours. It all seems a bit dialed back and it doesn't really do anything. I do think when it comes to Mosaic, it's what it's used with Citra. It just sort of, Citra's a real bright, tropical citrus fruits. A great flavour, but sometimes it can overpower. Mosaic can sort of just balance it. But Mosaic on its own is a bit of a, I don't know, I find it a little bit of a funny hop, really. I think it needs more, it needs a hop to go with it. This is a bit nothingy, really. It's difficult to recommend. I thought this would be good, but I don't like it at all. It's harsh. It's not got much going for it. I think I've tasted enough though, so let's get some scores. Okay, the scores are in for Buxton Brewery's Mosaic single hop brewed Lupulus X series. Yeah, I'm sitting here because I'm really disappointed with it, and I've looked at the scores, I've totaled them up. It's a low scoring one. I mean, I had, you may have seen the review I did for the Sainsbury's beer from Beavertown. I didn't like that one at all. And when I look at this one, it's almost as, it's pretty much as bad as that. It's really disappointed with it, really disappointed, because the Citra version of this is really good. So, you know, I'm just worried that people might see this one and go, oh, I'll pick that one up, drink it, and then go, oh, I didn't like that at all. And then they see the Citra one afterwards and go, oh, well, that I had what a Lupulus X one before and I didn't like it, so I'm not going to pick the Citra one up. The Citra one is good. It's you know, it's definitely a above average sort of beer that you can get in Tesco, but this is bang on below average. It's like, it's got nothing really going for it. I mean, all I can say is that this is the problem with supermarket beers, is that sometimes you get some, you know, some hidden gems there and you think, yeah, this is good. But there's a lot of times that you've got to drink a lot, you know, it's almost like you've got to kiss a lot of frogs until you find your prince, as it were, you know, to use that analogy. I don't know where I got that one from, but anyway, it's like there's a lot of poor beers you've got to get through until, like in Sainsbury's, you get the salt alpaca, you know, and And you've got to try them all, because you know there could be a real sort of, a sort of a gem amongst all those sort of rottenness that's there, Tesco, though, is more consistently good. And then you might find some really great beers in there. And we've had some really great beers that are almost at the sort of level that you would get when you're paying £4 to £5 in a bottle shop. Northern Monk ones especially, I think, are good. Whether it be the Scafell or the Transient, they're good beers. Love and Hate, that's a really good New England IPA. But this is a poor beer, and to me, I'm really disappointed with it, because I think the Citra one was pretty good, and this one is pretty bad. Let's go through those scores then. So first things, aroma. Well, the first things with this, Mosaic, it sometimes can give a nice sort of pungent, that sort of sweet bubblegum sort of aroma, berries, tropical. It's really difficult. All you get is this sort of very earthy sort of aroma, and this almost sort of resinous sort of, I don't even think it's resonant, it's just earthy. There's no fruit that jumps out in that aroma, and it's not inviting at all. So I'm giving it 8 out of 20 for aroma. Appearance. Well, again, for an IPA, it's quite clear. I've seen thicker pale ales than that. Yes, you've got some nice lacing on the glass and the head, but I think generally, it's very bang average. So I'm giving it 6 for appearance. Flavour-wise, is it horrible? No. It's not horrible, but it's earthy. It's almost like it's got more. I always associate that flavour with Simcoe, really. It's got a real earthy flavour. There's no bright, juicy flavours in there. There's no big mango. There's no big peaches and lemons and pineapples, anything like that. It's got a very sort of earthiness, slightly resinous, and then you get this sort of grapefruit. And I wouldn't even say it gets to the point where it gets really bitter, but it's quite dry. It gives you a coating on the tongue. In terms of mouthfeel, yeah, it's similar to a lot of the Lupulus X, as you would expect. I wouldn't say it's medium carbed, and I wouldn't say it's overly soft, but it's not prickly either at the same time. But it's that flavour. It's just like, I just want my beers to have that little bit more fruitiness, a little bit more freshness, and this doesn't have it at all. So I'm giving it 29 for flavour. Value for money. Well, okay, you can buy this for £3, but you can buy lots of other beers for £3 that are much better. So I'm giving it 7 for value. It's okay, but it's a low level supermarket beer in my opinion. And then my overall experience, I think it's just I'm really disappointed. There's nothing really flavoursome about it. There's no fruitiness. There's no, I don't know. It's just not doing it for me. It's not even doing stuff that I don't like. It's not doing that real strong West Coast. It's just a very nothingy sort of beer, and it's not that much different than the same sort of experience I had from the Beavertown, the heavy gravity beer. It just goes nowhere really. It really is bang on average. So I'm giving it 9 for my overall experience. Top those scores up, and oh my God, we've got another Coldplay at beers, 59 out of 100. It's another poor beer. All I can say is I'm glad I've got this new haul from Premier Hop, premium beers, good beers. And let's face it, I'm paying £5 for them, but I'd rather pay £5 and get a decent beer than spend £3. This is the problem with supermarket beers. They don't have a quality control. They'll let, every supermarket might get 10 new beers in. And the problem is that 2 of those new beers are good. And the 8 of them are either bang average or bang below average. And the problem you have with that is that the average punter might go, oh, well, you've got all these new beers, I'll try 3 or 4 of them. And they might pick the 3 or 4 wrong ones. And that makes them think, well, if they're bad, then they're all going to be bad. I'm not going to bother anymore. And also, if you're a brand that's in the supermarkets, you might think, people might think, oh, I had that Buxton beer, it was awful. I'm not going to drink Buxton again. that's not good for your brand, is it? You know, I don't understand why there's this inconsistency. I can understand if they were all poor, but you get some pretty good beers in there, and that's the thing. There's some real sort of highs and lows. There's more lows than highs, but at the same time, who wouldn't want to sort of go to a supermarket and go, I can get a £3 beer that's pretty damn good and can compete with those £5 beers that I buy from the bottle shop. I don't know what you think. If you've tried this, let me know. I'm sure somebody's commented on one of my videos. I think when I did the other Buxton one, the Mantle, which is definitely a better beer than this, they said, oh yeah, that Mosaic one's really good. No, for me, it's not. It doesn't do it at all. And it's disappointing when the Citra one is a very... I wouldn't say it's a very good beer, but it's certainly a good beer. It's an above average beer. And for supermarkets, I think it's, you know, it's up there with some of the better ones. So let me know if you've had this one. What do you think of it? Am I completely wrong? Have I got to the point where I don't want to drink supermarket beers anymore? I don't think I will. The only supermarket beer that I will feel confident about buying these days is probably Northern Monk. North Brewing. They're probably the two. The others, it still worries me, you know. Even the likes of Salt. I've had a really bad Salt beer from a supermarket, but I've had a really excellent one too. I've had multiple excellent ones. So how do I feel about it? I'm on the edge when it comes to Salt. Buxton, I'm a little bit on the edge with them as well. I don't know. I'm rambling on, and I need to leave here because I've had 2 beers tonight, and they were both bang average. You'll see the reviews of those. And I'm thinking I only wanted 1 beer tonight. I wanted a good one, but it's not. So I'm going to look forward to leaving some of those supermarket beers behind and concentrating on those good beers, hopefully good beers, from the Premier Hop Hall. You know, when you like a track, you know, that aren't in supermarkets, Daya, again, not in supermarkets, you know they're going to be good, and sometimes they'll be great beers, you know, and more often they'll be great beers. So that's it for me. As I said, let me know what you think. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. It really helps the algorithm, helps to support the channel. And as I say, you can see that there's more. I'm doing more videos now, getting more out there than we did out of that little lull when I wasn't really drinking that much. Drinking these sort of beers makes me almost want to take another month off.